Ravanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Radha Madhava ki, Shri Radha Radhanath ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 13, entitled The Descendants of Dhruva Maharaj, text number 3. Manye Maha Bhagavatam Naradam Devadarshanam Yena Prokta Kriya Yoga Paricharya Vidirhare Manye Maha Bhagavatam Naradam Devadarshanam Yena Prokta Kriya Yoga Paricharya Vidirhare Maye Maha Bhagavatam Naradam Devadarshanam Yena Prokta Kriya Yoga Paricharya Vidirhare Mane Maha Bhagavatam Narada Devadarshanam Yena Prokta Kriya Yoga Vicharya Vidirhare Mane Maha Bhagavatam Paricharya Vidirhare Manye Maha Bhagavatam Naradam Devadarshanam Prokta Kriya Yoga Paricharya Vidirhare Manye, I think, Mahabhagavatam, the greatest of all devotees, Naradam, the sage Narada, Deva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Darshanam, who met, Yena, by whom, Proktaha, spoken. Kriya Yoga, devotional service. Paricharya, for rendering service. Vidihi, the procedure. Hare, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Bhaicharan Aravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Vidura continued, I know that the great sage Narada is the greatest of all devotees. He has compiled the Pancharatrika procedure of devotional service and has directly met the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. There are two different ways of approaching the Supreme Lord. One is called Bhagavat Marg, or the way of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the other is called Pancharatrika Vidhi. Pancharatrika Vidhi is the method of temple worship, and Bhagavad Vidhi is the system of 9 processes which begin with hearing and chanting. The Krishna consciousness movement accepts both processes simultaneously and thus enables one to make steady progress on the path of realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Pancharatrika procedure was first introduced by the great sage Narada, as referred to here by Vidura. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Varan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Shri Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in this verse we see the confirmation of the Harinamananda statement yesterday that Narada Muni is the MVP, the most valuable player. Vidura says that he knows that the great sage Narada is the greatest of all the devotees. Who else can be the most valuable person in this world if he is not the greatest of all devotees? And Narada Muni, he has given us this Pancharatrika Vidhi, which is here in the purport, it is explained as the method of temple worship. This temple worship is meant for worship of the deity in the temple. It is explained that for the neophyte devotees, we should worship the deity Radha and Krishna, or in the mood of serving them as Lakshmi Narayan. So that's why all the opulence, and we worship the Lord as the king. But many times we see, well, we have Radha and Krishna on the altar. Isn't this rasabas that we worship Radha and Krishna, who are supposed to be from Vrindavan, where everything is just spontaneous love? Isn't this a little bit clashing? But as Harinamananda Prabhu yesterday told the story about Narada Muni and Hanuman was afraid to go see the Pandavas because the Pandavas were very close to Krishna. They were his friends. Arjuna also says in the 11th chapter, he's scared of the universal form, and he says, please, I have made so many offenses to you. Now I can see you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I called you by your nicknames, or I have put my feet in your lap while we were in the bed. So this I committed so many offenses, So in this way, Hanuman was afraid to come to associate with the Pandavas because they were very close to the Lord, and he might, because he's a monkey, he might act in a wrong way. He can commit some offenses. So even such great devotees, they still have this, self-awareness that maybe we should be careful if our own mood of service to the Lord is not on the same level as the other devotees. So in the same way, we who are we compared to Hanuman? Hanuman is the eternal associate of Lord Ramachandra. We do not come even close to Hanuman. And yet, so that's why we have to worship the Lord in a very reverential mood. We have to serve the Lord as the king. And we might think, but I've been a devotee for already 20 years. I've been chanting every day, getting up in the morning. You know how hard has it been? I've put all my effort into it. I'm a devotee veteran, actually. It's like it's been hard. But from the perspective of the demigods, we have been, if we take into consideration half a year is the day and half year is the night. So we have been devotees only even less than 1 month. So we just new bhaktas for them, they're looking down, saying, oh, this guy going back to spiritual world already. What's going on down there? Let me join. So this is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He saw that in this stage of Kali, everybody is disturbed, everybody has some mental problem, nobody can focus on the spiritual process. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Manda Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya Upadrita. We're all lazy, less intelligent, always disturbed. Kadambakarna Swami, His Holiness Kadambakarna Swami, my spiritual master, he compares the people of Kali Yuga with children with learners' problems. So many opportunities we had to go back to Godhead. In every yuga, there was first Satya Yuga, meditation, Dvapara Yuga, big fire sacrifices. And those were the processes to go back to Godhead. Treta Yuga, worship of the deity. And finally, Kali Yuga, when everybody else already went, when the human form of life, people would not even consider that this is the human form of life, that this is the qualification for the human form of life in Satya Yuga or any other yuga, we would probably not have gotten this opportunity. Now we have the chance. And Lord Chaitanya brought us the most sublime method, that even though we are so fallen, even though we have no desire for spiritual perfection, still, by chanting of the holy name, we can get purified, and we can even achieve the highest perfection of life. We can even achieve the love of the gopis, which is inconceivable. And we can do it in only one lifetime. Because with the added mercy of Prabhupada, it's like so easy. We just have to show a little bit of effort. Like 2 days ago on the home program, my father, he was explaining the glories of Kartik. And he told the story of Damodar and how Mother Yashoda caught Krishna and tried to bind him. And the rope was always 2 fingers too short, and those 2 fingers represent mercy of Krishna and our own effort. So even though we know that there's all this special added mercy, we will not receive it if we don't put in all our effort as if our life depends only on this effort, as he said in the talk. So we can think, oh, then I have to struggle again. It's so difficult. But luckily, we have this book called Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And in this book, we are being shown that this devotional service is not just struggle. In this book, it basically showed us how everything is super ecstatic. And in the 5th chapter, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu broke open the storehouse of love of God. Se pancha tattva mili prithiviyasya purva prema bandhanira mudra gadiya pancha mili lutta prema kora asvadan yata yata piya trishna bada dakshan. Lord Chaitanya broke open the storehouse of love of God, and with his associates, they are distributing these fruits, and they are flooding this whole world with the love of God. And sometimes we hear that we cannot really achieve Krishna if we have so many material desires, and we know that all other material activities that we perform, they leave a seed of the material desire. So maybe we can weed out these material desires with our effort. But what about the seeds? The seeds, we cannot see the seeds. They are deep inside, ready to fructify, ready to sprout out and keep us away from achieving this love of Godhead. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he made sure there was a flood. And when there is a flood, all the seeds become rotten. Because there is no air and there's high humidity. So all the seeds become rotten and there is no way they can fructify. But there is a catch. The Mayavadis, they float on the flood. They do not sink, they do not drown. They stay on the surface. So if we think that we can just chill out and let the mercy overflood us, then we are not eligible for the mercy, because we still think that we are the enjoyers. And that is the mentality of the Mayavadis. They think that actually we are all the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord is no other than the enjoyer. So if we don't show any interest for this love of God, then okay, all right, you don't need to drown. You still think you can enjoy in this world. And yes, even though Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and tried to deliver all the living entities of this world, still the path of bhakti is hidden, because it is known the path of bhakti is known also as Shri Krishna Karshini, which we heard also a few days ago. And that means that if somebody has pure love for Krishna, then he can control Krishna. So Krishna, of course, likes his own independence as well. He doesn't want to be controlled by anybody, especially not by some cheaters. So he hides the glories of bhakti. And then such great devotees as Narada Muni write such great scriptures as Narada Pancharatra and Pancharatrika Vidi. And this is meant so that Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai. Gaura Hari ki jai, Shri Giri Govardhan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So that the people that do not have really this desire to actually serve the Lord but only to enjoy, that for them the bhakti yoga doesn't sound very easy or attractive. Sometimes, there could be many people that could claim that they are devotees, but when it actually comes down to following the principles of Pancharatrika Vidhi and Bhagavad Marg, they fall away because there is this overwhelming theme of being a servant. And Srila Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he says, Shruti Smriti Purana Di Pancharatra Vidim Vina Akantiki Harir Bhaktir. What is that? Upadhyaya Kalpate. Yes. He said that bhakti, devotional service that does not follow any principles of the Vedic literature or the scriptures like Pancharatra are just a disturbance to the society. Because then we have examples like the 13 or 12 apasampradayas that formed in India after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Sahajas, they were just, we're just gonna do love for Krishna, but not follow any principles. So Prabhupada, and of course they were defeated by Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. And Prabhupada came to the West and immediately preached 4 regulative principles and 16 rounds, just to keep us straight and narrow on this path of devotional service. And we can, Srila Prahlad Maharaj is saying, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnusmananam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanivedanam. And this verse actually contains both Bhagavat Marga and Pancharatrika Vidhi. And the first, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnusmanam Padasevanam, is the Bhagavad Vidhi, and Archanam Vandanam and so on is Pancharatrika Vidhi. And but it is very important to follow both, and especially to follow Bhagavad Dharma, because if we do not follow Bhagavad Dharma, if we do not go out and preach Krishna consciousness as requested by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he broke open the storehouse of love of God, he said, I'm a gardener. I want to distribute all these fruits that grew up in this garden. But how much can I do with my own two hands? So he's asking everybody to please help him. So this is our duty in this world. Yarade kataraka Krishna Upadesh. We do not need to change our material situation as the Lord instructed Kurma Brahmana who wanted to go with him. We do not need to change our external material situation. But everywhere we go, whoever we meet, we have to instruct about Krishna and tell them to chant the holy names of the Lord. And that's what we are trying to do every day. Go out on the street, tell them to chant Hare Krishna, tell them to repeat the holy name as we sing. Tell them to sing along. So if we don't follow this process of Bhagavad Dharma and we just focus on the deity worship, then at some point we will look at the deity, we'll look at Radha Radhanath, and we will think, these are such beautiful deities. But why did our spiritual master leave us with this burden of having to worship them every single day? So in this way, our mentality will become offensive. And we cannot serve the Lord if we think that the Lord is a burden. Yes. Then, yes. Yes, that means that the Lord has become a burden. We have to go and do the arati again. This is the 7th arati today already. Oh my God. I've did all the aratis, there's no other pujari here. I'm the only one, I'm only one, This is too much, And then I have to cook all the offerings as well. Yeah. His Holiness Kadambakana said that at one point in the early 80s, he came from India back to Radhadesh in Belgium. And he was doing the deity worship. And he did all the aratis. And he cooked the Mangala sweets as well. And then he had to put the deities to rest at 9:15. He was something like that finished, or 9:45 he was actually done with everything. And then he had to wake the deities up as well in the morning. So at one time he was so tired he fell asleep, I think, during the arati or something. And then they're like, okay, this is too much. You have to go. But in this way, this is like, it becomes a big burden if we do not follow the Bhagavat mark. If we don't factually understand what we are doing and how are we supposed to do. So Srimad Bhagavatam is such a wonderful book because it was compiled by Vyasadeva on the order of, again, Narada Muni. And he told Vyasadeva that you have to also tell all these people something about the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. You have to glorify Krishna. And Srila Vyasadeva compiled this Srimad Bhagavatam as the natural purport to Vedanta Sutra. And it systematically leads us towards the highest pastimes in Vrindavan, in the 10th canto. And if we carefully study Srimad Bhagavatam, then we will have appreciation for both Pancharatrika Vidhi and Bhagavad Dharma. And we will not be burdened by any of them. We will be really ecstatic, actually. Sometimes if we see that somebody is not very enthusiastic, we can ask them, have you read anything of Srimad Bhagavatam? And especially, have you read also Chaitanya Charitamrita? Because Chaitanya Charitamrita is the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he showed us by his example how to live Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a book Bhagavatam and person Bhagavat. So we had the book Bhagavat, but then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he showed us what does it mean to be the person Bhagavat. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually says that out of the 3 books, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, if there is a big flood and we have to let go of one of the books, he would first let go of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, we still have Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And if it got so bad, we had to let go of another book. He said that let go of Srimad Bhagavatam and just keep this Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is an extremely important book, and actually it is still Srimad Bhagavatam. It is not any different from Srimad Bhagavatam. Because I heard there was this this statistic, how many times a book is quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Srimad Bhagavatam is by far the most quoted book in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So that means that Chaitanya Charitamrita is based on Srimad Bhagavatam. Any philosophical point, any evidence is confirmed by Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this way, if we eagerly follow the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we will be always inspired in our Krishna consciousness. And actually we are still in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada came only 50 years ago, and he is predicted to be Lord Chaitanya's Senapati Bhakta, and that he spread this movement all across the world. And Lord Chaitanya got asked, "Who you just spread it in the India, but who will spread this knowledge throughout the whole world?" And he said, "My Senapati Bhakta will come, the great general devotee. He will come, and he will overflood the whole world." And Prabhupada, we can see, he was such a general. He was leading the whole movement. And in 11 years, he made a big revolution. Nobody was expecting that he could even scratch the surface of success. Before, his senior godbrothers went to the West, but they were not successful. So they thought, what can he do? They didn't even feel like sending any help. He asked only for a few mridangas and something that he could start the movement with, and he got no response. So he was only dependent on Krishna. So his mood was just make me dance as you wish. I don't know if they will understand anything I'm saying, but I'm just a puppet in your hands. Make me dance as you want, my Lord. And this same mood we can see in Draupadi, when she was being stripped naked in the assembly hall of Duryodhana, of the Kurus, yes. And she just lifted her arms up and shouted, "Hey Govinda." And Krishna, he provided. Then, before, when she tried to hold on her own strength, she had no chance against Dushasana, who was a fierce Kshatriya. But once she lifted her arms up and helplessly cried out to Krishna, then Krishna provided the whole and the unlimited cloth. So in the same way, we just have to try our best, and when we fall short, we lift our hands up and loudly chant the holy name. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama. So now the cat is out of the bag. This is why we are screaming in the streets. Why is Hainamananda and Nitai always screaming, I thought we just did like nice Harinam, not disturb too many people. And they come, these wild guys, these wild brahmacharis, they're too much in brahmachari mood, too much in brahmachari mood. They come and they just scream, this is too much, they have too much energy. Maybe they should go and do some service, in the temple. And just scrub some pots, maybe. And they think they're big shots now that they can scream. They should do some service. No, but actually we would still scream after that because louder, yeah. So that's why we like to scream. It is nice, actually. It is nice to scream. We can just give all our heart into chanting of the holy name. And then the ecstasy will come. Then we will actually taste the nectar of the holy name. When we completely forget about anything else, when we completely forget about what people think of us, when we completely forget what even other devotees think of us, when we just go for it, when we just fully absorb in Krishna's holy names, then the actual ecstasy will come. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that he will open a school for crying. A school for crying. Because without crying, we cannot achieve Krishna. And there is I don't know if it's a famous lecture of Japataka Maharaj, but I think it's famous and I think it's pretty cool. And he's saying that if we cannot cry, I think this was being said by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to one of his disciples, who asked him, "What if I cannot cry for Krishna?" He said, "If you cannot cry for Krishna, then you should cry that you cannot cry for Krishna. If you cannot cry that you cannot cry for Krishna, then you should cry that you cannot cry that you cannot cry for Krishna." So this is what we teach in the school of crying. That we just have to cry for Krishna, and Krishna will feel so merciful towards us. Krishna is like a loving mother. When she sees her child crying, she'll come running, and she will know it's actually serious. If a child is just mother, okay, it's just, we call this crocodile tears in Slovenia. It's just not really crying, it's just seeking attention. But when actually something is actually serious, when the child actually screams for its mother, then the mother comes running. If she's a good mother. And then nowadays we don't know anymore, all this politically induced ideology is ruining even the mother's relationship with her child. And we can sometimes see that even the mothers, they don't want their children. So they just abandon. But if the mother is stable, if the mother is a good mother, she will come running to her child and she will pick up the child and pacify the child. So in the same way, if we really cry for Krishna with all our intensity, with all our heart, with all our might, as also Jesus explained in the Bible, we have to love our Lord with all our might also. If we put everything into it, Krishna will come running. Krishna cannot resist. This is the definition of bhakti. Krishna Karshini. So Krishna cannot resist, and he will do anything for us to be pacified and for us to be happy. And once Krishna wants us to be happy, there is nothing in this world that can prevent this. And that's why Krishna also hides this bhakti, as I said before. So sometimes we see that, you're saying that if you perform bhakti, Krishna will try to pacify us and he will want us to be happy. But why do all these great devotees have to suffer? They all have some bodily problem. they all have maybe some political problem. There's some people are creating politics against them. They are struggling in this world. So, what is this? They're not happy. They cannot be happy. But actually they are happy. They are Tushanticha Ramanticha, always satisfied. They're satisfied within because Krishna is in their heart. They can always feel Krishna's presence right next to them. And even if they are apparently distressed, as the gopis were distressed in their love in separation, this was the most intense feeling of love of Krishna. But this brought them the most happiness, actually. This was their most these most intense moments of burning separation brought them the most happiness because they couldn't think of anything else other than Krishna. And because we know Krishna is transcendental, anything connected to Krishna, like his name, his glories, it is Krishna. So actually, Krishna never left the gopis, but he just stayed in this form of burning separation. They're always thinking of Krishna. So in this way and Krishna was of course, obviously always thinking of his beloved gopis. And he even, this is like the most far out thing for me, he even told his queens in Dwarka, actually, I married you just because you remind me of the gopis of Vrindavan. Imagine telling your wife, I married you just because you remind me of my, I don't know, high school crush. You would get severely punished. Severely punished for this. How dare you? Then I'll just leave you. You can go back to her. Yeah, and Krishna just straight told them in their face, you just remind me of the gopis. And actually the queens of Dwarka are the expansions of the gopis. So, yes, they are, in one sense, still the gopis of Vrindavan. Because nobody else can bring actually happiness to Krishna if only the gopis are the ones that really, really make Krishna happy. And he said, I cannot repay you even in the lifetime of Brahma. And we can achieve this in a very, very short amount of time. Only if we scream helplessly for Krishna, if we call out loudly the holy name of the Lord. And then Srila Prabhupada himself guarantees us that in this one lifetime, if we sincerely follow this process of 4 regulative principles, 16 rounds, and preaching, of course, this helping Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread this flood of love of Godhead, then he guarantees us in this lifetime we will achieve Krishna. Thank you very much. Any comments, any questions?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I was thinking about when you quoted about if you can't cry, then cry because you can't cry, and so on and so on. So we laugh about it, we think it's like a joke, Nelly. But actually it's a very practical measure, because especially with japa, we do take it as ritualistic, or there's no real feeling in it. Am I really doing anything? I'm just sitting here mumbling. But the fact is that unless you see your situation as like fallen or having no feeling for God at all, then there's a reason to call out to God, like, help me find this feeling, Nelly. I can't find it. You please help me. You know, I'm dressed like a devotee. I've read the books. I know this is the goal. I know I should chant with feeling, but I can't. It's not there. Please help me, and then you chant in that mood. And then when you chant with that desperation, then we can feel like Krishna running towards you. You can feel that, okay, some progress is taking place.
Yeah. Yeah, as we heard that on our own, 2 days ago, my father, he was explaining, on our own, our own strength, we cannot actually purify our hearts. It is only by if we have the right attitude, Krishna will purify our heart of all the material desires, provided we are not holding on to them, right? But then Rukmini asked, how can we have a proper attitude if our heart is not clean? Because then all these impurities will still come forth. And it's only by the mercy of the devotees actually that we can really achieve the mercy of Krishna. And then, as Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj said in Santan, if we pray to Radharani, even if we are full number one, then Radharani will go to Krishna and say, Krishna, Krishna, there is this devotee here, and I want you to accept him. And if we really think about it, Srimati Radharani herself, the greatest devotee of all, she comes to Krishna and tells Krishna, you have to accept him or her. And once we realize what that actually means, we can only cry how merciful Radha and Krishna are. But if we take the mercy for granted, then the mercy will just fly right past our heads. Oh yeah, Krishna, he's just merciful. He's just overflowing with mercy. I don't need to do anything actually. Mercy will just, like a wave, it will take me. Sorry, I'm doing all the memes here. But the mercy will just overtake us and we will just crash in this wave and we will come out and oof. This was great. This mercy is like really things, this is great. But if we have such an attitude, we will think that the wave is coming towards us, but this wave is actually a wave of Maya. And we're completely in illusion. And then lust, greed, anger, envy, illusion will just crush us. It's such a big wave. We won't know what hit us. So in this way, then after being repeatedly crushed by this wave, then finally, just crying, that I've been crushed so many times, Krishna, please, please, I'm not holding on anymore. Just take me. Anything else?
That's Krishna's mercy of being crushed by Maya.
Yes. There comes the...
Here is mentioned in the verse, I think, that Narada is the best of the devotees. And we know that there is a statement, Vaishnavanam yata Shambhu, that Shiva is the greatest of devotees. And then we know that the gopis are the greatest of devotees. The Rani is the topmost of the devotees. So how to understand that these are these different personalities, that they are the greatest of devotees?
I don't know. You tell me. They're all the best, yes. They all have pure love of God. That's how I understand it. But there are still in pure love of God, there are still different rasas. And definitely Madhurya rasa is the most intimate one. So of course you're the most happy in the most intimate moments. That's why Radharani is considered the greatest of all the devotees. And everybody actually strives to serve Srimati Radharani. Narada Muni, he wanted to become a gopi. Shiva, he wanted to become a gopi. So they all want to become maidservants of Srimati Radharani. So I think, but as we know, one who says he's my devotee is not my devotee, but those who are devotees of my devotees, they are actually my devotees. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Gopi Bharta Pada Kamala, you're dasa, 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 anudas. The insignificant servant of the servant of the servant. So, these are all great devotees, and they follow what Krishna is teaching to the perfection. They all try to be a servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis. That's how I understand it. You please explain. You are the... Thank you. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanande Haribo. Jai Vanchakapatrucha.
Okay, 12 o'clock. Leave it. Leave it. Good enough.